Okay. Can everybody hear me all right? Do a quick sound check. Oh. It's picking it up, but can you guys hear me okay? It looks like WebEx is picking it up, but I want to make sure that everybody else on the call can hear it, can hear me before we start. Maybe?
Check the settings.
Oh, I see that. I
Looks
saw it.
like people are commenting.
Oh, I get it. Okay, I couldn't see. I saw a little thumbs up, but I couldn't see where it's coming from. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you. So we're gonna start reading the Surangama Sutra again today, starting from the very beginning. So we're starting the Surangama Sutra begins on page 24 of the PDF document. This document is available for download on our website, or on the website truemindzen.org. And if you want a copy of it, you can also contact us directly, and we can send it to you. So we're just going to go ahead and start reading from the beginning of the Surangama Sutra. Thus have I heard, once the Buddha stayed in the Jetavana Vihara near Sravasti with 1,250 bhiksus, most of whom were great arhats who had crossed the stream of transmigration. They upheld his teaching firmly, could leap over all realms of existence, and had achieved the respect-inspiring deportment which was held in great esteem throughout the country. They followed the Buddha to turn the wheel of the law, and were qualified to hand down his Dharma. Being self-disciplined, they set a good example in the three worlds in which they appeared in countless transformation bodies, to deliver living beings and to save future generations from defilement. They were led by Shariputra and the wise Maha Galyayana, Maha Kastila Purnamaitre Vaniputra, Subhuti, and Upanishad.
There were also countless Pratyeka Buddhas who had nothing more to learn, came to the Buddha's vihara determined to seek truth.
Now the summer retreat had just finished when the bhiksus took stock of their errors and mistakes, and when the bodhisattvas from the 10 directions determined to wipe out their remaining doubts and suspicions, reverently awaited the teaching in their search for its esoteric meaning. And so the Tathagata arranged his seat and sat with crossed legs to proclaim the profound doctrine. Such a Dharma feast to purify the assembly had never taken place before, and his melodious voice was heard. Such a Dharma feast to purify the assembly had never taken place before, and his melodious voice was heard in the 10 quarters. Led by Manjushri, a number of bodhisattvas as countless as sand grains in the Ganges had come to the holy place.
Meanwhile, King Prasentajit, who was keeping the anniversary of his father's death by offering vegetarian food to him, came personally to invite the Tathagata to the inner palace for a royal feast of best and rarest delicacies, to which he also invited the great bodhisattvas in the assembly. In the city, the elders and devotees also offered food to members of the order and reverently waited for the Buddha's arrival.
Commanded by the Buddha, Manjushri took the bodhisattvas and arhats to the royal feast. Ananda, however, had not come back from a distant engagement, and so was not among the invited. He was returning to the vihara alone without his superior or teacher, and bowl in hand went begging from door to door in a nearby town. He intended to call first on a donor who had not given food to the monks that day, regardless of whether or not he was virtuous, a noble, or an outcast. In his practice of universal compassion, he did not especially choose a poor man as his patron. He wanted to help all living beings earn countless merits, for he had seen the Buddha scold Subhuti and Mahakasyapa, who, though being arhats, could not realize universal mind. He very much admired his teaching, which had eliminated all his doubts and suspicions in this respect.
So when he reached the town's gate, he walked slowly, adjusting his mind to the rules of discipline. As he went begging for food, he came to the house of prostitution, where Mantangi succeeded by means of Kapila magic in drawing him close to her sensual body on the mat, so that he was on the point of breaking the rules of pure living. But the Buddha was aware of all this, and after the royal feast, he returned to the vihara with the king, princes, and elders who wished to hear about the essentials of the Dharma. He then sent out from the top of his head a bright and triumphant multicolored light, within which appeared a transformation Buddha seated, with crossed legs on a 1,000-petaled lotus. The Buddha then repeated the transcendental mantra and ordered Manjushri to use it to overcome the magic and to bring Ananda with Mantangi to the vihara.
When Ananda saw the Buddha, he prostrated himself at his feet, weeping bitterly and saying that since time without beginning, though he had heard much about the Dharma, he still could not acquire the transcendental power of the Tao. Earnestly, he asked the Buddha to teach the preliminary expedients in the practice of samatha, samapati, and dhyana, which led to the enlightenment of all Buddhas in the 10 directions.
There was also present a great number of bodhisattvas, as countless as sand grains in the Ganges, and great arhats and pratyeka Buddhas who had come wishing to hear about the Dharma. They all waited silently and reverently for the holy teacher.
The Buddha said to Ananda, "You and I are close relatives. Tell me what you saw in the assembly when you made up your mind to give up all worldly feelings of affection and love."
Ananda replied, I saw the 32 excellent characteristics and the shining crystal-like form of the Buddha's body. I thought that all this could not be the result of desire and love, for desire creates foul and fetid impurities like pus and blood, which mingle and cannot produce the wondrous brightness of his golden-hued body, in admiration of which I shaved my head to follow him.
The Buddha said, "Ananda, and all of you should know, that living beings, since the time without beginning, have been subject continuously to birth and death because they do not know the permanent true mind, whose substance is by nature pure and bright. They have relied on false thinking, which is not reality, so that the wheel of samsara turns. Now, if you wish to study the unsurpassed Supreme Bodhi to realize this bright nature, you should answer my questions straightforwardly. All Buddhas in the 10 directions trod the same path to escape from birth and death because of their straightforward minds. With the same straightforwardness of mind and speech, from start to finish without a trace of crookedness.
Ananda, when you developed that mind because of the Buddha's 32 excellent characteristics, tell me what saw and loved them.
Ananda replied, World-honored one, my love came from the use of my mind, my eyes seeing and my mind admiring them, so that it was set on relinquishing birth and death. Are you okay? Fighting? Here, hold on. Did you get it? I'm gonna squish it. We have a spider situation. You turn on the light. Is it big or little? Little tiny. It is. Oh, there it is. It's going under the couch.
Is it a big one?
No, it's a little one, but it's hard to see on the floor. Here we go. Yeah. All right. Sorry, I'm just gonna put this up to the side.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
You can continue reading.
I can just cut this part out.
Yeah, true. Cut.
No need. That's a good example. I just have really bad hiccups at the moment, so I'm in between hiccups. Sorry. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Well, okay, we're back. All right. We were here at the Buddha.
The Buddha continued, as you just said, your love was caused by your mind and eyes. But if you do not know where your mind and eyes really are, you will never be able to destroy delusion. For instance, when the country is invaded by bandits, the king, before sending his soldiers to destroy them, should first know where they are. That which causes you to transmigrate without interruption comes from defects in your mind and eyes. Now tell me where your mind and eyes are.
Ananda replied, World-honored one, all living beings born in the world through the 10 types of birth hold that this knowing mind is in the body. As I look at the lotus blue eyes of the Buddha, I see that they are on his face. Hence my understanding that my eyes are on my face, whereas my knowing mind is in my body.
The Buddha asked, now as you sit in this hall, where do you see Jetavana Park?
Ananda replied, World-honored one, this great hall is in Jetavana Park, which is therefore outside the hall.
The Buddha asked, what do you see first in this hall?
Ananda replied, World-honored one, in this hall I see first the Tathagata, then the assembly, and only when looking outside do I see the park.
The Buddha asked, when you see the park, what causes you to do so?
Ananda replied, "It is because the doors and windows are open that I, though sitting in this hall, see the park outside."
The Buddha then extended his golden-hued arm and touched Ananda's head with his hand, saying, "There is a samadhi called the all-embracing Supreme Surangama, a gateway through which all Buddhas in the 10 directions attain to the wondrous, majestic path. Ananda, listen now attentively."
Ananda prostrated himself at the Buddha's feet and knelt to receive the holy instruction.
The Buddha said, "If you, that while sitting in this hall, you see the park outside through open doors and windows, it would be possible for someone sitting here to see only things outside without seeing the Buddha."
Ananda replied, "One cannot see the grove and stream outside without seeing the Buddha."
Ananda, it is the same with you. It will be clear about all this. However, if your knowing mind was really in your body, you should first be clear about everything inside it. You should therefore see everything in your body before seeing things outside it. Even if you cannot see your heart, liver, spleen, and stomach, at least you should be clear about your growing nails and hair, about that which moves along your nerves and the pulsing of your veins. Why are you not clear about all this? If you do not see things within, how can you see those outside? Therefore, your contention that your knowing mind is inside your body is groundless.
Ananda bowed and said, "After hearing the Buddha's Dharma voice, I now understand that my mind is really outside of my body. For instance, a lamp should light up everything in a room before the courtyard outside through the open door. If I do not see what is in my body, but I see things outside it, this is like a lamp placed outside a room which cannot light what is in it. This being so clear that there can be no doubt, am I still wrong about what the Buddha means?"
The Buddha said, "All of the bhikshus followed me to Sravasti to beg for food and have now returned to Jetavana Park. I have taken my meal, but as one bhiksu is still eating, is the whole community well fed?"
Ananda replied, "No, world-honored one, though they are arhats, they have not the same body or lifespan. Then how can one by eating cause all others to satisfy their hunger?"
The Buddha said, "If your knowing mind is outside your body, the two are separate. Thus, when your mind knows something, your body should not feel it. And when your body feels something, your mind should not be aware of it. Now, as I show you my hand, when your eyes see it, does your mind discern it?"
Ananda replied, "Yes, world-honored one, my mind discerns it."
The Buddha said, "If so, how can your mind be outside your body? Therefore, your contention that your knowing and discerning mind is outside your body is groundless."
Ananda said, "World-honored one, as you have said, if my mind does not see what is in my body, it is not within it. And if my body and mind know each other, they are not separate, and my mind is, therefore, not outside my body. Now, after thinking about this, I know where my mind is."
The Buddha asked, "Where is it?"
Ananda replied, "Since my knowing mind does not see what is in my body, but it can see things outside, I think it is hidden in my sense organ. For instance, if one covers one's eyes with a crystal bowl, the latter does not obstruct this sense organ, which simply follows the seeing to distinguish all things seen. Thus, if my knowing mind does not see what is in, it is because it is in the sense organ. and if it sees clearly what is outside without being obstructed, it is because it is hidden in that organ.
The Buddha asked, as you just said, the mind is hidden in the same way that the eyes are covered by the crystal bowl. Now, when one so covers them and sees the mountain and river, does one also see the bowl?
Ananda replied, Yes, world-honored one. One also sees the bowl.
The Buddha said, if your mind is like the crystal bowl, when you see the mountain and river, why do you not see your own eyes? If you do, they should be outside and should not follow your faculty of seeing. If they cannot be seen, how can you say that this knowing mind is hidden in the sense organ like the eyes covered by the crystal bowl? Therefore, your contention that the knowing mind is hidden in the sense organ is groundless.
Ananda asked, World-honored one, I now think of the bowels concealed in my body and of the apertures on its surface. Therefore, where there is concealment, there is darkness, and where there are openings, there is light. As I am now before the Buddha, I open my eyes and see clearly, and this is called outward seeing. And when I close them, I see darkness, and this is called inward seeing. What does the Buddha think of this?
The Buddha said, when you close your eyes and see darkness, is this darkness opposite to your eyes or not? If it is in front of them, then how can this be inward seeing? Even if there is really such inward seeing, when you sit in a dark room without the light of the sun, moon, or a lamp, this darkness should also be in your bowels. If it is not opposite to your eyes, how can there be any seeing? Now let us forget outward seeing and assume that there is inward seeing. Then when you close your eyes and see only darkness, which you call seeing what is in your body, why, when you open them and see clearly, do you not see your face? If you do not, there is no such inward seeing. Now, assuming that you can see your face, your knowing mind and organ of sight should be in the air, and then how can there be inward seeing? If they were in the air, they should not belong to your body, and the Buddha who now sees your face should be your body as well. Thus, when your eyes see something, your body should have no feeling. If you insist that both body and mind have separate feelings, there should be two separate perceptions, and then your body should become two Buddhas. Therefore, your contention that to see darkness is inward seeing is groundless.
Ananda said, I have always heard the Buddha, when teaching monks, nuns, and male and female devotees, say, when the mind stirs, all sorts of things are created, and then all kinds of mind appear. I now think that the substance of thinking is the nature of mind, which arises when it unites with externals, and which is neither within nor without nor in between.
The Buddha said, you have just said that because phenomena are created, all kinds of mind appear when uniting with them. So this mind has no substance and cannot unite with anything. If that which has no substance can unite with externals, this is union of the 19th realm of sense, with the 7th sense datum. This is sheer nonsense. If the mind has substance, when your hand grasps your body, does your mind feeling this come from within or without? If from within, you should see what is in your body, and if from without, you should see your face.
Ananda said, it is the eyes that see, and the mind that knows is not the eyes. To say that it sees is wrong.
The Buddha said, if the eyes can see, when you are in a room, do you see the door? Those who are dead and still have eyes should see things if they still see. How can they be dead? Ananda, if your knowing mind has substance, is that substance single or manifold? As it is in your body, does it spread to every part of it or not? If it is one substance, when you grasp a limb, all four should feel that they are grasped. If so, there would be no grasping. If there is, the contention of a single substance does not hold good. If it is a manifold substance, there should be many persons. Then which substance is yours if it spreads to every part of your body? This is the same as in the previous case of grasping. If it does not spread, then when you touch your head and foot at the same time, while your head feels that it is touched, your foot should not. But this is not so. Therefore, your contention that the mind arises where there is union with externals is groundless.
Ananda said, World-honored one, I have heard the Buddha discuss reality with other sons of the king of the law. He also said that the mind is neither within nor without. I now deduce that if my mind is in the body, it does not see anything within, and if it is outside, they both cease to feel each other. To say that it is within is wrong, for it does not know anything in the body. To say that it is without is also faulty, since body and mind can perceive each other as they do so, and since nothing is seen in the body, the mind should be between the two.
The Buddha said, if your conception of a mind in between is correct, it implies a position for it. Now, according to your inference, where's this intermediate position? Do you mean that it is the body? If it is on the surface of the body, it cannot be in its center, and the conception of a mind in the center is no different from that of a mind in the body. Is its position manifest or not? Well, it is. If it is not, it does not exist. If it is not fixed. Why? For instance, if a stake is driven into the ground to mark a center, when seen from the east, it is in the west, and when seen from the south, it is in the north. As this stake can only lead to confusion, so is a mind in between completely chaotic.
Ananda said, the intermediate position that I mentioned is not these two. As the world-honored one has said, the eyes and form are causes from which sight perception arises. While the eyes can distinguish, form does not follow anything, and perception lies between them. Hence the mind arises.
The Buddha said, if the mind lies between sense organs and sense data, does it include both or not? If it does, its substance and what is outside will be mixed up together. And since the mind perceives while its objects do not, two opposites will be set up. Then how can there be an intermediate? If it is not inclusive, being neither the knower nor the known, it has no substance. Then what is this intermediate? Therefore, your contention that it is in between is groundless.
Ananda said, World-honored one, previously when I saw the Buddha with his 4 chief disciples, Maha Madgalyayana, Subhuti, Purnamaitrayaniputra, and Sariputra, turn the wheel of the law, he always said that the nature of the knowing and discriminating mind is neither within nor without, nor in between the two, exists nowhere and clings to nothing. Hence it is called mind. is that which does not cling to things called mind.
The Buddha replied, "You just said that the nature of the knowing and discriminating mind exists nowhere. Now in this world, all things in the air, in water, and on the ground, including those that fly and walk, make the existing whole. By that which does not cling to anything, do you mean that it exists or not? If it is not, it is just the hair of a tortoise or the horn of a hare. And how can there be non-clinging? If it is, it cannot be said not to exist. That which is not is simply non-existent, and that which is should have a position. Then how can there be no clinging? Therefore, your contention that that which does not cling to anything is the knowing mind is groundless."
Thereupon Ananda rose from his seat, uncovered his right shoulder, knelt upon his right knee, reverently joined the palms of his hands, and said to the Buddha, "I am the Tathagata's youngest cousin, and because of his great affection, I have been allowed to be his disciple, but I have presumed on his compassion. And so, although I have heard much of his preaching, I have failed to avoid the worldly, and have been unable to overcome the magic which has turned me round, causing me to visit a house of prostitution. All this is because I failed to reach the region of reality. May the world-honored one be compassionate enough to teach us the path of samatha for the benefit of those lacking faith and holding perverted views." After saying this, he prostrated himself with knees, elbows, and head on the ground. Then he stood up in reverent silence, with the whole assembly keenly awaiting the teaching.
By the Buddha's transcendental power, all sorts of rays of light as brilliant as hundreds and thousands of suns shone from his forehead, illuminating all the Buddha lands, which shook with 6 kinds of quake. Thus a number of worlds, uncountable as the dust, appeared simultaneously and united into a single world, wherein each of the great bodhisattvas, while staying in his own realm, brought his palms together to listen to the Dharma.
The Buddha said, "Since the time without beginning, all living beings have given rise to all sorts of inversion because of the karmic seed, which is like an aksa shrub. This is why seekers of the truth fail to realize supreme enlightenment, but achieve only sravakas, pratyeka Buddhas, heretics, devas, and demons, solely because they do not know the 2 basic inversions, thereby practicing wrongly, like those who cannot get food by cooking sand, in spite of the passing of aeons as countless as the dust." What are these 2 basic inversions? Ananda, the first is the basic root of birth and death, caused, since time without beginning, by the wrong use of a clinging mind, which people mistake for their own nature. And the second is their attachment to causal conditions, the basically bright essence of consciousness, which is fundamentally pure and clean, substance of nirvanic enlightenment. I think I'm going to reread that sentence with the words in parentheses, or that second half of the sentence. And the second is their attachment to causal conditions which screen the basically bright essence of consciousness, which is the fundamentally pure and clean substance of nirvanic enlightenment. Thus they ignore the basic brightness, and so transmigrate through realms of existence without realizing the futility of their practice.
Ananda, as you have inquired about the Samatha gateway, through which to escape from birth and death, I must ask you a question. The Buddha then held up his golden-hued arm and bent his fingers, saying, Ananda, do you see this? Ananda replied, yes. The Buddha asked, what do you see? Ananda replied, I see the Buddha raise his arm and bend his fingers, showing a shining fist that dazzles my mind and eyes. The Buddha asked, how do you see it? Ananda replied, I and all those here use the eyes to see it. The Buddha asked, you say that I bend my fingers to show a shining fist that dazzles your mind and eyes. Now tell me, as you see my fist, what is that mind which perceives its brightness? Ananda replied, as the Tathagata asks about the mind, and since I am using my own to search for it exhaustively, I conclude that which searches is my mind.
I just want to clarify something. Birth and death that the Buddha is talking about, in the sutras, the Buddha refers to birth and death as anything that arises and anything that falls away. So that could include birth and death of the body, or it could include the arisings and the falling away of thoughts, or anything else.
Yeah, correct. Thank you very much for clarifying that.
Yeah, no problem. I know now it seems like we just went from birth and death right back into Nanda's question, so I wanted to give it some context so that we can apply it. And in this context, he's talking about the arisings of the perception of the eyes, which is a thought arising. All right. The Buddha said, okay, so, and then just to this last sentence, Ananda, so I'm just going to read a couple sentences back to go into the next paragraph. So the Buddha asked, you say that I bend my fingers to show a shining fist that dazzles your mind and eyes. Now tell me, as you see my fist, what is that mind which perceives its brightness? Ananda replied, as the Tathagata asks about the mind, and since I am using my own mind to search for it exhaustively, I conclude that which searches is my mind. The Buddha said, hey, Ananda, that is not your mind. Ananda stared with astonishment, brought his two palms together, rose from his seat, and asked, if this is not my mind, what is it? The Buddha replied, Ananda, this is your false thinking, which arises from external objects, deludes your true nature, and deceives you into mistaking, since the time without beginning, a thief for your own son, thereby losing that which is basically permanent, hence the round of birth and death.
Ananda said, I am the Buddha's beloved youngest cousin, whose mind so admired him that I left home to serve and make offerings to the Tathagata and to all Buddhas and enlightened teachers in lands as countless as sand grains in the Ganges. If I am determined to do all difficult Dharma duties, it is because I used this mind. And even if I now slander the Dharma, causing my excellent qualities to weaken forever, it is also because of this mind. If it was not mind, I would have no mind and would be like the earth or a log, for nothing exists beyond what I feel and know. Why does the Buddha now say that it is not mind? This frightens me, and also this assembly, and not one of us here can avoid being doubtful and suspicious about it. Will you be so compassionate as to enlighten us?
From his lion seat, the Buddha, in order to teach Ananda and the assembly so that they could all achieve the patient endurance of the uncreate, held out his hand to touch Ananda's head, saying, the Tathagata has always said that all phenomena are manifestations of mind, and that all causes and effects, including the world to its dust, take shape because of the mind. And I just want to point out, phenomena is just physical attributes that you can name. So it's a form. Ananda, if we look at all the worlds in all existing things, including even grass and leaves, and investigate their roots, they are all made of matter and have qualities, and even the empty void has its name and appearance. Then how can the pure and clean, profound, bright mind, which is the nature of every mind, be without its own substance? If you grasp firmly the knowledge which comes from your discrimination between feeling and seeing as your true mind, it should have its own nature, independent of all form, smell, taste, and touch. As you now listen to my sermon on the Dharma, you differentiate because you hear my voice.
Even if you succeed in putting an end to all seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing, and so preserve inner quiet, the shadow of differentiation of things still remains. I do not want you to hold that this is not mine, but you should examine it carefully and minutely. That which continues to possess discerning nature, even in the absence of sense data, is really your mind. If this discerning nature ceases with sense data, this is merely the shadow of differentiation of them. For they are not permanent, and when they cease to exist, so does this mind. Like the hair of a tortoise and the horns of a hare. If your Dharmakaya can so easily cease to be, who will then practice and realize the patient endurance of the uncreate?
All right, so this is the section where the Buddha tells us what our mind is. So that which continues to possess discerning nature, even in the absence of sense data, is really your mind. So we still hold the ability to have a thought arise, but we don't. That's the discerning nature. After hearing this, Ananda and all those present were completely bewildered. The Buddha said, practicing students, even after they have realized the 9 successive states of dhyana, still cannot step outside the stream of transmigration and so fail to become arhats, because they cling to this samsaric false thinking, which they mistake for reality. This is why, though you have heard much, you have failed to win the holy fruit.
After hearing this, Ananda, in bitter tears, prostrated himself with his head, knees, and elbows on the ground, knelt and brought his 2 palms together, saying, After I left home to follow the Buddha, I merely relied on his transcendental power and always thought that I could dispense with practice, since he would bestow samadhi upon me. I did not know that he could not be my substitute, and so lost my fundamental mind. This is why, though I joined the order, my mind was unable to enter the Tao. I was like a destitute son running away from his father. I only realize now that in spite of much listening, if I do not practice it, I shall come to nothing, as if I had, like a man who cannot satisfy his hunger by merely speaking of food. World-honored one, I am caught by the 2 hindrances because I do not know the nature of the still and permanent mind. May the Tathagata be compassionate enough fully to reveal to me that wondrous bright mind, and so open my Tao eye.
Thereupon the Tathagata from the swastika on his chest sent out a radiant multicolored precious light which illuminated the Buddha lands in the 10 directions as countless as the dust, and which, after shining on the heads of all Buddhas everywhere, veered to Ananda and the assembly. The Buddha then said to Ananda, I now hoist the banner of great Dharma, so that you and all living beings in the 10 directions can realize the pure and bright mind of your profound and subtle nature, and so win the eye that is pure and clear.
Ananda, a moment ago, you said that you saw my shining fist. Tell me, how did its brightness come about? What caused it to take the form of a fist, and with what did you see it?
Ananda replied, the Buddha's golden-hued body is like a precious hill and manifests purity and cleanness, so that the fist shone. It was really my eyes that saw him bend the fingers and form a fist, which was shown to all of us.
The Buddha said, in truth, wise people should be awakened by examples and analogies. Ananda, if I had no hand, I would have no fist. And if you had no eyes, you would have no seeing. Is there any connection between your organ of sight and my fist?
Ananda replied, yes, world-honored one, if I had no eyes, I would have no seeing. So there is an analogy between my organ of sight and the Buddha's fist.
The Buddha said, your reasoning is incorrect. For instance, a handless man has no fist, but a man without eyes still has his seeing. When you meet a blind man and ask him what he sees, he will tell you there is nothing but darkness in front of him. Therefore, though things may be screened from view, the seeing continues.
Ananda said, if a blind man sees nothing but darkness before him, how can this be called seeing?
The Buddha asked, is there any difference between the darkness seen by a blind man in front of him and that seen by a man who is not blind when he is in a dark room?
World-honored one, there is no difference.
The Buddha said, Ananda, when a blind man who used to see only darkness suddenly recovers his sight and sees everything clearly, if you say that it is his eyes which see, then when a man who saw darkness in a dark room suddenly lights a lamp, which enables him to see what is there, you should say that it is the lamp that sees. If a lamp can see things, it should have seeing and should not be called a lamp. If it really sees, it has no relation to you. Therefore, you should know that while the lamp can reveal form, seeing comes from the eyes, but not from the lamp. Likewise, while your eyes can reveal form, the nature of seeing comes from the mind, but not from the eyes.
Although Ananda and the assembly had heard these words, they remained speechless. As they did not awaken to the teaching, they brought their palms together and waited for the Buddha's instruction with their mind set on hearing it. All right. I think that this is a good place to stop before we hear the next thing that the Buddha says. So, all right. Great. So something, of course, I always love hearing what the Buddha's definition of what is true mind, but I also love the analogy of, you know, trying to cook sand to feed yourself, because that is kind of what the practice feels like when you don't know what to look for. So that's a really good analogy. It's a struggle when you're ignorant. So, all right. Awesome. Was there any questions or anything anyone wanted to add or anything you want to talk about? Well, I will also take silence for an answer as well. So, thank you for joining, and we'll see you on Sunday. All right. I'll see you next time. Have a good night.
Good
Thanks.
night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.